Exe, whatever you want to call me. But for today's video, just go look at and discuss some changes I feel like would be ideal for Jin going into Season 2. It does include potential fixes, buffs, and definitely nerfs, of course, for those that want to see this character into the ground, but I'm playing. But I will say that there definitely are some changes I feel that are necessary for him going into Season 2, and first of all, we'll start with some nerfs. So, I do think Jin's obviously an overtuned character. I'd say where he is now, he's definitely in the top 10. Though I won't say that he's brain dead to pilot compared to some of the higher top tiers, such as Nina and whatnot. But he's definitely in a really good spot right now in terms of, on paper, what his kit shows. So, great punishment, great pokes, great counter hits, 13 frame, 10 frame to Zen, way dash pressure. So he's in a pretty good spot in terms of his kit, down to so yeah, in terms of his kit, very strong as you can see. 2-1-4 counter knockdown. But of course, I do think there are some changes that can be made to tone him down a bit, just to make him a bit more, should I say, a bit more balanced. Even though I still think he is a rather balanced character compared to most of the characters in this game. When you think about what Jin can do, especially when you factor in heat, he is a rather balanced character. But I would say to begin with, definitely 2-1-4 counter knockdown can go. Doesn't have to be there. It is very strong. I'd say though, the issue I find when people complain about this string is that it isn't strong, but I think people's strategy with dealing with it, at least those that complain the most about it, they're not actually countering the string effectively. So 2-1-4 is not a string you mash into, it's a string you look to anticipate and step. Of course he has 2-1 into down 4, 2-1, up forward 2, he has options, but for the most part if you do block, there's not really much that he can do here, and I'll show you. So, if I put Jin AI to do 2-1-4, just normal, no delay, you'll see. So here, right, if I block this, and he's going for the full string, no delay, he's -9. Puts himself in a 50-50 scenario every time he does this string on block. There's no pressure here. None whatsoever. You can go for 4-4-3. You can go for your quickest counter hit, even one of your slower counter hits, and you should be fine. At -9, you can't even step. Now, if he wants to delay it, which is based on a read, now this is where the better way to counter the string comes in. So if you know Jin's going to do the delayed version with the 4, then what you want to do is actually just sidestep launch. Literally, that's all you have to do. Not difficult. Of course, there are mind games, but 2-1-4-4 is not a mix-up. This is seeable. If you're patient, that's not ever hitting you again. Ever. 2-1-4 normal hit. Of course, that's -9, you just wait. Even if a Jin does 2-1 on block, right? +6 if it hits, fair enough, that's a mix-up. But at -3, to be honest with you, you could even go for a low jab here. There are ways to escape the pressure. You are only -3, or +3 should I say. But if he chooses to delay it, of course there is a read there, but if he delays it, he's punishable for it every single time. Just a clean sidestep and you can counter it. But that's enough on 2-1-4. I do think it needs to be nerfed. The knockdown is excessive. They can take that away and just give him normal frames as he had in Tekken 7. But I just want to get straight that the issues I'm seeing people are talking about it or have to counter it, sorry, is because they're not actually countering the move properly. They're simply just mashing into the move. You don't mash into 2-1-4 on delay, you look to step it. Very important. But yeah, other than that, I do think down 2 needs to be nerfed. I don't think it needs to be a counter launch. Funny enough, just a 2-1-4 on counter is knocked down into Oki. I believe that you can do the same thing with down 2. Down 2 counter launch doesn't need to happen. But again, with this move, this is another move where I feel a lot of the complaints about it are really skill issues. So down 2 is 22 frames, fair enough, but it's a reactable move. If you're struggling to block this move outside of netcode and sometimes connection, because that's a factor, that's a skill issue. Because more often than not, anyone that's playing the character knows that when you're using Jin, you're going for down 2, people are looking out for it. So down 2 is definitely a fully reactable move. He crouches down, you hear him scream. I have a mod to set off the aura, but with the aura on, you can see him do the move. He spins into it, it's seeable. Down 2 is not a mix-up tool, it's a counter-fishing tool, so that's how it should be used. So if someone's using it well, you're not really going to see it. But if you're patient and you're not ducking and you're waiting for a Jin to attack, you'll always block down 2, given that the connection is fine and given your reactions are good enough. But it's a fully reactable move. You guys should lab it. Labbing Jin does not take more than 5 minutes, I assure you guys. But yes, down 2 counter hit can definitely be a knockdown instead of a launch. And if they are going to keep the counter hit launch, I don't mind it being -15, but I think that down 2 is, as good as a low it is, it's not this omnipotent low that wins games. It really isn't. It's not that quick to be something that ultimately is going to win you games. However, it is fast enough that if people do like to mash jab, or they do like to go for a few highs, then it can be effective. But down 2 is a great low though. Great low. I'd say though, for another nerf, but this will bleed into the buffs or changes, would be forward 4. I don't mind them reverting this pickup. Oops. Sorry guys. I don't mind them reverting this pickup to make it harder. Like, this is too easy. I do think that if they were to revert this to a harder pickup, at the very least what they should do is give us an old Zen cancel back. I do think that removing the original Zen cancel, and the fact that Heihachi and Reina even have it now, which is crazy, would do well for Jin's skill ceiling and allow more player expression. And ultimately by doing so you can nerf the pickup to allow us to Zen cancel again. That would make Jin's defense much better, because the fact that he can now get this damage off forward 4 without any skill needed is actually pretty nuts. But then again, it's important to mention that forward 4 is very linear, and also forward 4 has less range than it did in Tekken 7. It was a true sniper, like from this range, not this range, sorry, like probably 2.7 or so. Yeah, you can still snipe people on occasion, but 2-on-4 definitely, not 2-on-4, forward 4 definitely has less range than it did in Tekken 7. But I would say that you can nerf the ease of the pickup for the counter hit combo and give us Zen cancel. But then again, that bleeds into other buffs I feel, or changes. So another thing I'd like to have reverted is the down back 4 counter hit knockdown they had in Tekken 7. See, yeah, he gets frames at +13 here, but then the problem is, with all the other characters and all the knockdowns into Oki they have, down back 4 not counter hit and knocking down is not that great, because ultimately let's think about the risk reward of this low. So the low's -13, right? That's quite punishable for a low. That's 20 frames by the way, which is somewhat seeable if you practice the animations. On hit, it's +13 on counter hit, but without counter hit, it's only +3. So there isn't really much pressure offered this low. In fact, it's non-existent. If someone is looking to step you, and you're not reading withstanding 4, then pretty much they can do what they want here. They can backdash, they can sometimes challenge you depending on what you go for here. Like if you move after this, they can counter hit you if you're not careful. Of course, backdash is another good option. Down forward 1 is not bad, but you can step down forward 1 at -3. Again, nothing's guaranteed off this low, and I do feel like for the risk reward, it's not great. Good damage though, of course, but +3, only +13, nothing guaranteed on counter hit and no knockdown, and it's -13 on block. That is quite a bad trade, I feel. Of course, it's great at range because it can be sneaky. But either way, I do think a change like that would be ideal for Jin. Another change I think would be great for Jin is bringing back some of his older counter hits. I think that, contrary to popular belief, Jin in this game isn't stronger than Tekken 7 Jin. And I'm probably thinking, what the heck are you talking about? He has down 2, Zen up 1, 2-1-4, counter hit knockdown, you know, he has all these crazy Zen techs. But the problem is that moves like down 2, you know, moves like Zen up 1, or even Zen 4, as great as that is, these moves are moves that become slightly less feasible in high level play, because ultimately this move is something that can be jabbed out of. Zen up 1, that's not hitting someone that's paying attention. Even moves such as down 2, this is reactable to players with good enough reactions, and at the higher level they're expecting it. So ultimately, at higher level, it becomes a matter of neutral, a well-placed forward block, a well-placed electric with punish, or in some cases, very neutral. And ultimately, his best counters outside of that would be standing 4, as we know, and forward 4, with the occasional down 2 if they're caught lacking. But when he had back 3, you know, Zen 3 being a counter launcher, even 2-1 being a knockdown before, these are things that helped elevate Jin in those moments where neutral was king. And I do think that in high level Tekken, even though most people's counters have been nerfed in that regard, giving them just a few more the counters he had would be ideal. Like back 3 was a counter launcher, down back 4 was counter hit knockdown, down forward 4, even as he engager now, was counter hit launch. And I could go on. But I do think that bringing back some of his counter utility and, you know, nerfing down 2 would be a good trade, because ultimately back 3 would be a far more neutral to a neutral than down 2. But yeah, another change I think would be good would be to overhaul of his heat system. I think his heat is rather lackluster. Of course, at the wall, Omen has great mix-up potential, but the problem is that besides Heat Smash 4, which is very, very good by the way, but not exclusive to Jin, in terms of the ability to water heal from far away, that's not unique to him, but that's what he gains in heat, and it's very, very good. I won't undersell it. Besides that, his heat is really lackluster. Every other character becomes a much better version of themselves in heat, but Jin just gets, as Nova Seiken calls it, the silver bullet. And on block, a mix-up, but that's only +3. So really and truly, what is the overwhelming benefit here? Nothing much really. At -3 you can be challenged. At -3 you can't really even go for a crouch dash into a forward mix-up because that's too slow. So ultimately his heat, I think, is kind of lackluster and doesn't give him the buffs to his game plan that other characters get, such as Kazuya getting Devil, Alyssa with the chainsaws, Hwoarang with his string pressure, Leroy. These characters become infinitely better versions of themselves in heat. So I do think that Jin could benefit from that. But either way, that's really the video. Just to summarize, I think some of the nerf changes that could be made for him ahead of Season 2 would be nerfing 2-1-4 on counter hit, down 2 on counter hit going, and giving us down back for knockdown, you know? That'd be ideal. They can make the forward 4 pick up much harder, but I'd say for that, give us back the old Zen cancel. To the very least, we have an element of skill expression and player expression. But other than that, I do think those are the main changes. We'll see what happens with Jin head of Season 2, whether he's nerfed or buffed. I've heard that, you know, he's getting a new move, of course, as many other characters are, and it's something to do with his full crouch down forward 4 going into Zen 1-2. And my problem with that is, that's a potential nerf, because this gives Oki. Sorry. You know, making this a guaranteed into Zen 1-2 confirm is just odd. I don't know what the thought behind that is, but we'll see. By the way, thank you guys for watching. Comment if you agree. Let me know what changes you want to Season 2 Jin. I know this wasn't exhaustive or very, very complex. It's just simple changes. I think that would be ideal for him. But we'll see what happens going to Season 2. Hopefully they are able to, you know, give him a bit more to keep up with some of the characters in this game. And despite people's beliefs, he is a rather balanced character within the flow of the game. He's not an auto-win character. Neither he is easy to play in the higher levels. I would say he's got very, very good tools, great strengths, but he's not. You can't really autopilot with the character in a way that's effective against stronger players, which other characters like Alyssa, Nina, in some cases even Yoshimitsu, they can benefit off far greater. But we'll see what happens, guys. Otherwise, wish you guys well, and see you in the next video.